Hello there, folks. I'm Dan Brown from a sort of interesting life.com. You're joining me here on board good old Narrowboat Tilly, and if you're wondering what on earth all this weird lighting is about, that's because you're joining me for a quick look, general review and just general demonstration of two nice cheap lights from Wilkos in the UK. Now, the light that's currently lighting me up is a rechargeable USB bike light, and on my head I'm about to dazzle the camera with an even cheaper at $4.99, incredibly bright and I absolutely love it, headlight. And as I say, I'm here to absolutely dazzle the camera with this. But now, let's have a more sensible look at what we're dealing with here. Just before we head outside to have a proper look at these shining on the ground to give you a proper idea of what they're like, thought we'd have a closer look at the actual items themselves and the packaging so we know exactly what we're dealing with. Like I say, these were both bought from Wilkos, nice and cheap. And I found Wilkos to be a little bit hit and miss sometimes with things like lights and so on. But I suppose now everything is in the modern age of LEDs and stuff, so you don't really get many bad torches or bad lights these days. This was £10, as you can see, pretty much what you expect from a front bike light. It's, well, it looks quite big, but it weighs hardly anything, which I was surprised at. It comes with a very short USB cable, and I think it's a micro USB port just under there to pop in and obviously charge up. So it takes 2 hours to charge fully for 6 hours, or 5 to 6 hours of light. I can't say I've had any problems with it dimming while I've been out and about, but I do like to plug it in and keep it topped up now and again. It has also had an absolute soaking on one particular bike ride for a good sort of 30 minutes of just constant, very heavy rain, and it's dealt with that quite fine so far. Now, one of the things that I'd say, it's got this cut out here to let a little bit of light come out through the side, and if I just switch it on, you can see how it does immediately light up, which I suppose doesn't really do much to help the illustrate what I mean. Now, it doesn't send loads of light out of the side, and when I was biking along, I've been doing different tests with it of basically just covering it up with me thumb and finger, and you do notice that the light isn't going out to the side, but it's not vital, and it doesn't throw a huge amount of light outwards, or sideways rather. But in terms of going forwards and lighting your way and visibility, it's fantastic. You've got 3 modes. High power, I think that's 50% power. Oh, I'm sorry, my apologies, I've just realised it's not actually showing. You've got 3 modes, again, high power, half power, and then flashing. And again, I've been using it in high power and haven't found it suddenly running out of charge in any sort of unreasonable time, so I'm very happy with that. Like I say, we'll have a look at these properly in just a second, shining outside and into the distance and stuff. Now this is a headlight, finally replacing the headlights which I have got somewhere to the back as I scramble around to try and find it. This is finally replacing my old Energizer one, which unfortunately is all broken and all sorts. It's not in the greatest of conditions, but it served me well considering I bought this in 2008, I think it was. So it's done well, but unfortunately compared to modern lights, which you'll see with this, it's just nowhere near as incredibly good. That currently isn't actually on, that's just reflecting like and focusing the light from the actual light shining from the roof here. But this obviously is pretty simple, looks quite comical like a miniature camera. I've got to say that was something I wasn't quite prepared for, but you can move this forwards and backwards to focus it. It doesn't go super wide, but you'll see again in just a second when you focus it, it goes to a proper pure little square, which some people may have seen with other lights, and obviously you can go up and down to angle it while it's on your head. Strap's nice and big and obviously adjustable, so no complaints at all. And this for £5 takes 3 AAA batteries rather in this as well, and for £5 I honestly cannot fault it. It is absolutely fantastic. So if we put that on, you can see instantly that's full power, half power, and flashing again. But that full power is absolutely, it's so bright, honestly. And then focusing it down, you can't really tell just how perfect a square that it makes from this angle, but honestly, absolutely fantastic. This, I cannot praise enough. Absolutely brilliant. Anyway, let's get outside and have a proper look at these in action and wrap this video up. So you can see here we are out in the dusk on good old Narrowboat Tilly, And if we look down, here is our light on the bike itself. You'll notice first thing here is I'm giving you the demonstration that it is solidly locked on place, but if I just pop down the little tab at the back, then it slides off nice and easy. You can see it's pretty standard fare, just wraps around, screw it up tightly onto the handlebars, and that's all good and easy to put on and off if you want to charge it regularly. So that's all good. And here you are, just the usual 360 before you have a look, shine it on the towpath at the side. And you can see even here in relatively light conditions, you can tell that it's clearly going to give you a decent amount of light for certainly near objects, and it's going to make you very visible if you got it shining slightly further up for vehicles approaching you or any other situation that you might need to be quite visible for on your bike. So that's the basic rundown of the bike light. Now we're going to have a look in even darker conditions at the torch, or the head torch rather, and firstly I'm going to show you it in its sort of unfocused or its wide angle setup and go through the different phases. So you can see here it's going from the full power to half power, and then we're going to see it in flashing, but again you don't really need to see much of that, you get the general gist. In just a second we will cut to a clip of the beam while it's focused so that you can see it's in the perfect square formation here and a lot brighter because obviously the light's all concentrated into that little area. So I suppose really as we have a look at this going up and down the towpath into the distance and so on, I'll wrap things up and say thanks for tuning in. I hope this has been useful for anybody who's been looking at these lights or looking for nice cheap head torches or bike lights or anything like that. And ultimately I suppose we'll wrap things up and say thanks for watching. Check out my other videos for loads of countryside scenery and life on a boat. And until the next time, keep it light worthy, keep it boat worthy, and of course, farewell.